Hello everyone, and welcome back to Aseemee Bay. I of course am Rotype. Thank you very much for tuning in. I have a bit of a time-lapse for you at the beginning of this episode, and as always, there's a link in the description to skip ahead to where the time-lapse ends. But first, I want to talk about a few things, just a couple, and then I'll leave you with some music to finish off the time-lapse, and we'll get into the live portion. First, I would like to apologize for missing last week's episode. I was out of town, the weekend, I guess before last it will be, by the time this episode goes live. The weekend before the missing episode was supposed to be published. And I discovered, so this is still a new channel I should say, and I'm still working on my workflow. And I discovered that I tend to do almost all of my recording on the weekend, regardless of whether or not I have time after work. So I do work full time, and then I come home and I have some time, but I don't always want to sit down and really get into the focused type working atmosphere that I need to produce these episodes. So sometimes I get work done, but I very rarely ever get any kind of quality recording done. So that's why I missed last week's episode. In that vein, I'm thinking about shifting my release day from Wednesday to Friday. That way, if I'm out over a weekend, which is going to happen, just looking forward in life, we tend to go out of town on weekends. That way I can at least have the entire week afterwards to kind of sit down, and maybe one of those days it'll be an easy day at work or something, and I'll be able to come back and put some good time into recording. I tend to need just a very calm, focused atmosphere. I can't necessarily get something else done and then do a little recording and then do something else. But let me know if you have opinions on what day I should release my videos. I know when I'm watching videos, it doesn't matter so much what day of the week they're out, but as long as they come out every week. So above anything, I'm going to try to make sure I stick to the weekly kind of schedule. And I think switching to Friday may or may not help me out with that. Next, I suppose I'll talk a little bit about what's going on screen. I pretty much went through in this time-lapse and filled in a lot of the blank spaces that were in downtown Marisburg. I mentioned several episodes ago when I was placing the large custom unique buildings, the big tall skyscrapers, that I think it looked better with some space in between. And I still think it looks better with some space in between, but I think the space needs to be appropriate for the city atmosphere, I should say. So I went in, I built parking lots, I put plazas. I did zone a little bit more in there just to get some smaller buildings to kind of clean it up. So because it's mostly kind of detail work, and then there was a lot of trial and error, you may have noticed, I decided to put all that in a time lapse. Also, this is the kind of work that I can get done on a weekday. So this is a good example of what I was talking about before, where I don't necessarily have time to make a good live recording, but I can get in here and do some of this time-lapse data. So that's why this is the time-lapse, that's why this is now accomplished, and we'll take a look in the live mode. I'll show you some of these areas, but I think it kind of cleaned up downtown Marisburg a lot. It's not completely done, but I think it looks pretty good, and like I said, we'll go take a look at it in the live section. So the next thing I want to talk about briefly is just a little bit about the kinds of episodes I'm going to be making. Part of the reason I missed last week, and part of the reason I feel I need a big chunk of time to sit down and record, is because I'm spending a lot of time trying to make these episodes in like a logical fashion. I spent time on downtown Marisburg, and next I feel like I need to work on something contiguous to it to make the surrounding area look nice. And I feel like for my YouTube cities, I need to kind of develop from a central area outwards and make everything kind of, like I said, contiguous or flowing together. And that sometimes clashes with my inspiration of the moment. So sometimes I'll come home, or I'll be around and I'll open up Cities Skylines, and I'll think, I know Marisburg needs some details, but I want to work on, for example, of late, I've been really wanting to get into some harbor work and build a nice kind of cargo harbor. And that's a big project that's going to take maybe 2 or 3 episodes. And that whole time, kind of sitting in the back of my mind, is going to be the fact that Marisburg still needs work. It's kind of sitting out there with some blank spaces and details that need to be done. And until recently, I have kind of forced myself to stay in the same area. As I said, trying to work in this contiguous kind of zone. And that kind of drains on my creativity a little bit. So I'm still going to try and keep things contiguous and together and kind of making sense. But for the next few episodes at least, I think I might start jumping around the map a little just to work on stuff that I'm inspired to work on. And I think that will produce better work, both better cities, more detailed cities, and maybe just more interesting episodes. And more than anything else, it will just leave me with the desire to make more episodes, because I'll be recording and showing things that at that time I'm really interested in doing. And I have no doubt that eventually I'll come back and do the details, both because I know they need to be done, and sometimes my inspiration is to finish the details and get these little, like for example what we're looking at now, parking lots and plazas done. So again, let me know what your guys' thoughts are, what you like to see, what you don't. Again, if there's something that you will never want to see, maybe I'll always put it in a time-lapse kind of thing. But as I said, for the next few episodes, we're going to possibly be jumping around a little bit. I have some inspiration right now for the harbor, like I said, maybe the train yard on the other side of the river, but I think the next few episodes might be more what I'm into doing at that moment, and I think that will produce a higher quality episode. But as always, you guys will have to let me know. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about at this time. So I'll leave you with a little bit of music. There's a little bit more time-lapse. Like I said, as always, there's a link in the description to cut to the end of the time-lapse. And then when we go into the live mode today, we're going to be working on the riverfront, and I'm going to make a kind of like a Riverwalk type area, sort of similar to the Esplanade in Boston or the river area near Portland, Oregon. So that's what we're up to this week. I hope I'll see you there in a few minutes. back. I hope you enjoyed the time lapse. This is one small piece of what was done in the time lapse. I finally completed this corner of the creek here, so it's not just nicely maintained on one side and an empty, just kind of terrain emptying into the creek on the other. So that makes me happy. I also really kind of enjoy sometimes just watching the traffic here. I apologize for all the sirens. Pretty much anyone, I'm sure, who's ever played this game has been inundated in sirens. Hopefully they're not too loud. By the way, let me know if they are and I can adjust my volume mixing in editing. But yeah, I mean, I kind of like I've been sitting here watching this for a few minutes now. Just the foot traffic, the car traffic, the vehicular traffic. This kind of is a nice scene. But let's go ahead and just kind of go over a few of the things that were done in the time lapse. I know everything is at 600% speed, so you might not catch it all. Oh, there goes a building, just got auto demolished. So let's see. First thing, I suppose this parking lot, just small thing that was added. Let's see. While we're here, we'll come in and see. I added this parking lot. These spaces here are part of this building, which is a little upsetting because they have this little gap here that's, only a little irritating, but yeah, it's fine. I added some bollards to kind of, section this area off, and then back in here, I made what would kind of be like a private, semi-private, I guess, kind of lunch pavilion. I don't know why that guy thinks he can walk through it, but just kind of a nice little area. These people, I wonder, is there something here? Why are they walking through my hedges? I guess there's a path here, but maybe I'll fix that a little later. But I added this little kind of lunch area. It's got some seating, some umbrellas, these nice wicker shaded areas. I suppose I could put some actual seating under there as well, but just kind of a nice local to this particular building. Of course, the camera jumps all over the place when I don't want it to. Now that there we go, this building has its own little outdoor space, not next to any roads. I imagine this would be a nice kind of quiet space. And then across the street, I added this kind of larger plaza area with this cut through, which I'm happy to see is getting a decent amount of use. I don't know why there's no building growing here. There might be an issue with my theme manager. There might not be, although this building is 3x4, so I don't know why another copy of it might not just grow in there, but it could be a demand issue. I think most of this demand is not necessarily for jobs, but more for goods, because if I zoom out here, you can see most of our commercial areas, oops, sorry about that. Most of our commercial areas are needing in goods, so I think that's another reason why I think I want to do the harbor, like I mentioned in the time lapse. But let's see, so I added that plaza area. Up here I added this kind of parking and plaza area. I realize it's a little big, it's a little much. I might, depending on how I feel about it, as I go forward, kind of cut it down maybe in half and only leave this half in and grow in some more buildings back here. I'm undecided, but now that I mention it, yeah, I think I might do that. I might leave half of the parking here, grow in some here, and then maybe bulldoze and make this like a path connecting to the road. That seems like that might be kind of nice. So, but that was done. Let's see, I worked on this kind of overhang to the train. And so mostly it's just adding some trees here. In this area I added some bushes because this is the parking lot and plaza area I was working on. So I imagine it's kind of like just a little ancillary parking and some plaza space for this building, or just kind of in general this area. And then along here I didn't add any bushes, and it does look a little bit incomplete, I must say. So I probably will go back in and just kind of zigzag some bushes in. I've found a convenient way of placing bushes is actually to take the prop line tool with bushes and then not necessarily drag them out in a straight line, because then they look a little too orderly. But if you just kind of zigzag, and there's not a ton of space, but like for example here, just like from here to here, and then just kind of zigging and back and forth, and then you're left with some empty spaces. And then what I ended up doing, I don't know if you noticed this in the time lapse, was I then selected this lighter, so I alternate between this darker shady bush and the lighter shady bush, and you can obviously go with whatever bush you like, and then just kind of zigzag opposite in the other direction, and it kind of fills in nicely. It makes things look a lot less, how should I say, kind of orderly in a normally you like order, but you don't want everything to be in like a perfectly straight line. The trees I think are okay, but the bushes you want to kind of just be kind of clumped. So anyway, I like how that came out. I just kind of finished out this area. It's just like a rough back kind of space, unused area before the train tracks. I added some fencing here along this. This creek was already mostly done, although I did add this little pool. I was looking around on Google Maps, I think this came from near the Chicago River, just kind of looking around. And there was a lot of places with just kind of green or a pool area, just kind of some back space area next to the river or the canal, depending on what city I'm looking at. So that's why I decided there. This building gets its pool, and then I actually like this area a lot. I think this came out pretty well. Just like some nice, benches off the side, kind of set back. You got a little bit of kind of wear traffic. And then back in here, just like a nice little mini playground and basketball court area. I had these kind of kiddie area, and I was looking for something to mimic like mulch or, pine chips or something. And these are actually the fallen leaves, but in the dense option configuration or whatever. And when you pull them in like that, I think it looks like pine chips. I mean, that's what the playgrounds were when I was a kid, a bunch of pine chips. So I think that came out really nice. And then over here, just kind of like a little trash area. Next I wanted to leave this space open as like a garage, and then just kind of this little mini alleyway. I wish I could kind of connect it into this road a little better. So I might still think about that, try to find a way to get people to use it to walk. But man, what is with all of these ambulances? Holy crap. Doesn't look, oh, I guess I'm in. Doesn't look like we have any health problems. But man, I guess there's a few. Well, noise. Wow. Ambulance City, okay. We're going to stay away from there to shield our ears. And then just kind of in here, the same idea. Just kind of trees, grass, a little bit of open space. It's next to the creek. And then we're back to here where we started out the episode. The one other thing is here. I added this plaza. I believe this is a built-in plaza. I like how these buildings kind of come up, and I wish there was one that would have a side, like a corner building or something. I don't want to put a road there, although maybe I could put a blend in a road. But maybe I'll replace it with some ploppable or something that makes it look more like a corner. And then I like this just kind of big open plaza space. Again, I zoned in a little bit more to fill it in the way I think it might look nice. There's this statue of industry or whatever this is called. I changed this a little bit from the way it ended in the time lapse. I kind of, again, zoned in a few more buildings. And let's see, what else did I do? I zoned in somewhere here, and then this big plaza. I believe this is all the way it was before, or maybe not up this way, but just kind of like a hospital plaza. So there, as I said in the time lapse, there's a bit more to be done. Mostly this area and kind of down along the train tracks in this direction. But honestly, to be honest, I don't want to work on that right now. And as I covered before, I'm going to start working on more of what I want to work on, and I think that will produce better episodes. So in that vein, what I want to work on is I want to kind of finish this this riverside area, and I think what I want to do, and let me go ahead, I'm going to pull up my view of Google Maps on my second monitor, and I'm looking at just various different cities and the way they handle kind of riverfronts. I'm looking at, in Portland, Oregon, there's this area called Tom McCall Waterfront Park, and that one looks mostly paved. It's got some nice trees and stuff, but not too much grass. I think that's not quite what I'm looking for. I have Boston here on the Esplanade on the Charles. That's a little bit closer to what I'm looking for. So I think I'm just going to kind of turn this area into a nice, not necessarily big, wide park, but just like a nice Riverwalk area. You might kind of just walk along the river for an afternoon or an evening, or people want to go for a run or something. They can run down along the river for a little ways. So I think to that end, what I'm going to do is leave this as kind of the last road, if you will. Kind of, this is the last place cars can go. And actually, we'll just do that to kind of make that final. And then up here, I think the first thing I actually have to do, though, is, ironically enough, place a road. And let's see if I want to, well, maybe not a road. Yeah, one of these, like, let's see, do I want it pedestrian path? Yeah, I think I do want it gravel, just to make it like, how do I say it? Just nature parky. I don't know what I'm saying, but you'll see what I mean once I get going. So from here, and I don't even want it to be straight. I just want it to have some nice kind of curves. And again, I'm looking here at different, whoops, wrong button, sorry. Looking at different cities in real life, and they're not always straight, riverbanks. There's stuff going on. So as much as, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to try this, and if my OCD goes crazy and it makes me it makes me upset, then I will not do it anymore. So we'll see how it goes. And I wonder what this is going to look like if I actually connect it to the road. I'm going to get a stoplight. Yeah, see, I'm not sure I want the stoplight, especially this transition. It looks kind of nice with the bollards if you do it, I'll just show you like this. But I still don't know if I want the stoplight. Do I want the intersection at all is a good question. Let's go ahead and go, where am I looking for? Switch traffic. So if I turn the traffic lights off, I might be able to go and fill in this. Whoops, sorry. And yeah, that might be okay. So from here, the next thing I'm going to do is actually save, because anytime I terraform, you always run the risk of doing serious damage. So we'll save first, and then we'll just go ahead and take our terraform and just take it right up to this. And we'll go ahead and do this and see the way it looks. And, if it looks good, we'll keep it. If it bothers me, then we won't. Okay, so I think this is good. I think I like it. Basically what I had to do is bring the lower level of the river right up against it, right up against this path, and then, actually this is not quite what I want still, but, and then basically use this smooth tool to even this slope out, and that, I think, is what has brought the river much closer to the path to make it look more like, like a smooth, river just kind of lapping against the bank here. I don't really want it to be a sharp, sharp edge, like over, where is it? Like, I mean, obviously with the seawall, there's like a sharp edge, or here with a kind of a cliff. I don't really want that. I want it to be more even. So I think the smooth tool is really the key to doing that. So I'm even going to go ahead and smooth it out more. And then if I have to, I'll also go ahead and add another water source to keep the water level high. Because I think the way the water simulation works in this game, in general it's pretty good, but at the edge of the map, the water just kind of dumps out. So you can feed in like infinite water and it won't really raise the water level that much. So if you want a river that stays at a pretty high level, you either have to kind of block the exit of the river in some way, so the water backs up, or you have to add, and I'll just go ahead and show you. You just have to add these water sources partway through. This might be a little too high. No, see if it goes up to where the indicator shows, that'll be what I want. But as you can see, I did it down here too. I added another one just so, otherwise down here the water level will be kind of below the seawall, which I didn't really want. So I'm going to try and do the same trick here, and I think this is pretty close to working, especially more like here, this kind of works, where the cliff kind of goes away and it's just like, if you're just walking, you could walk into the river if you wanted. It's not like you'd have to like jump in or anything. So I think that's more what I want, making sure, okay, so the water's overflowing, but that'll be good. It's actually kind of funny to see these cars blown off the the road now that we have the natural disaster. Well, I don't actually have natural disasters, but with the 1.6, they do this. It looks like some of them even just get stuck on the road and I don't know, have to despawn. Who knows? But anyway, okay, so that looks better, and I might just continue to go in and smooth it, but for now that's about what I'm looking for. Now I think the next thing to tackle will be this ramp, and it's a little too low to kind of carry anything under and through. So from here I might actually just bulldoze and take... Now see, I wish I knew the difference between the one cell and or not, because these are one cell, at least they look one cell. I can upgrade it to one cell. What did that do? I guess I got rid of the lamp. Made it a little more narrow. Alright, well, let's make them one cell, because they are just a path. So, we're going to make this... Now, let's see. Did it get rid of... Yeah. Oh, no, it didn't. Didn't get rid of the lamp. So the lamp's still there. It just makes it slightly more narrow. Interesting. Might as well do it. Oh, that is one cell already. Okay. So, let's go ahead back down to this side. And I think... see, I want to make this a connection. I don't want to upgrade. I want to make this a connection, but I really don't want to kind of screw up the intersection here. So actually, I think what I might do is take this path and just kind of connect it. Let's turn anarchy on. That's fine. Connect it. No, not quite like that. Like this. I can put my own bollards there. And, you know, before I forget, I might as well do it now. Bollard. Nope, there's an R in bollard. This one's fine. Actually, no, we'll do this. The retractable ones, in case, you know, police cars or whatever need to go in here. And then just like that. And that makes it look like you know, not a proper intersection, but it looks like over here. And, you know, I might do that just to avoid... Yeah, I think I am going to do that. I'm going to avoid the intersection altogether just by doing that again right here. We'll just kind of take it in like that. And we might go under there. We have to figure out what we're building over there first. But for now, let's go ahead and, again, just let's turn off snap. I don't want anything to be regular, but just kind of like a nice... No, that's... I'll go in and fix that in a minute. Although this might be a little too close together. I think I might do the paved path. Let's see. Let's go back to roads. One cell wide. I know I'm kind of all over the place today. But just going to make this like the kind of main part paved. And then if you want to go on like a little excursion, you can go ahead and, you know, go off a little closer to the river, or what, you know, whatever you want. But that way, why is this elevated? Nope, we're gonna make this ground, please. There we go. Okay, well, looks fine. Ground, and then we might even make this just a straight line. Just, yeah. So this area, it looks like there's enough space, so we can just make this a straight line to I don't know, there, and then we'll connect it. Again, this is like a park area, so nothing has to be perfect. And do I care that it's not parallel? I think it's close enough. And once we put in trees, it'll look more like a, you know, park path, and not necessarily, doesn't necessarily have to be parallel. And then every once in a while, we'll just add little connections here. Let's see, that one goes that way, so this one maybe will go this way. Just people cutting through, going different ways. Yeah, that looks nice. And then maybe, oh yeah, so the end here, we'll just do it again, and we'll just kind of take it in like that. And that way, this is our little structure for the path, for the, you know, the esplanade. And while I'm thinking about it, I don't have a good name yet, but we'll go ahead and give it its own district here. And I will clean up the district lines later, but for now, just tuck that in and then cut off. It's going to be another one of these narrow districts that really make no sense and no game effect, but they make me happy, so I'm going to do them. And there we go. And we'll call this, oh, I don't know. I don't want to quite copy the Esplanade from Boston, but let's just call it the Riverwalk. Yeah, so that's nice. And we'll give it some, I don't know if this matters, but Parks and Rec. I don't know, sure, you can smoke pot in the Esplanade. What else? Recycling, yeah, you should probably recycle. Don't smoke, it's not nice. And Sure, I guess none of this else really matters. Yeah, bike on the Esplanade, that's nice. Okay, good. I'm a little upset that the name is over here, but maybe eventually I'll extend it down the rest of the way, and that'll be better. So, next, how do I want to divide the Riverwalk from the road? So a lot of times there's actually like a fence or a wall of some kind, and I think, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So we've got, these are all kind of brick type buildings, so I think we can stick with that. Let's go brick. Try brick wall. Yeah, there we go. So we have a couple different kinds. We have garden wall, and then this one, which I don't like quite as much. And then, yeah, these are the good ones, I think. Soldines, and then these are really tall. So let's kind of take a look at what we want here. And I wish, let's find a person. Is there a person walking? There we go. Here's a person. So this one, actually, I thought it was tall, but it looks to be not as tall as a person. Maybe this is the one? Nope, not as tall. So I was, oh, here it is, brick wall tall, that would be it. So, do we want to make them tall? No, I don't think so, because it's a nice area. These are also tall, so maybe we will be stuck with these ones that, I mean, they're fine. They're just not as nice as I would have liked them to be. How big is this garden wall? Also way taller than a person. Anyway, what I was saying is that, if you're on this road, you don't want to not see the park, because it's a park. It's nice. Everybody likes to look at a park, right? So maybe we go with these short. Let's see, did this one say short too? Yeah, it did. Well, so tall, 8 meters. All right, so let's go ahead and go with the short one. That way you can at least kind of stick your head over and see what's going on in the park. We'll use this. We'll turn on the anarchy and just go ahead and make. Now I might put some other entrances. You don't necessarily only want to be able to get in on one side or the other, but for now, there. So, how does this look? Does this look straight? Yeah, good. So, let's see how this looks. If you're down here, yeah, that's kind of, it's just like a nice little divider, but it's not obnoxious. You're not like, you're not faced with a big wall. This way you can still kind of look over. Whoops. Maybe I'll get a new first person mod. This one's a little annoying. Yeah, you can still kind of see across to the river. You can see into the park. I like it. So that kind of covers that. I think the next thing we really should do is add a few more entrances. And since no vehicle can yet get in here, and I'm talking about just like hearses and things, I think I do want one of these to connect. Just, let's see if I can make this look nice. Yeah, just like that. Because there was already, yeah, so there are already stoplights here, so this doesn't make anything too bad. And it adds the little bollard. I do need to get rid of the wall now. That one and that one. That looks good. Whoops, wrong button. And yeah, okay, that looks good. So the next thing I need to do is go to vehicle restrictions. Because even though it says pedestrian roads, I guess the network extensions and traffic precedent aren't quite, merging well together, working well. So I'll just go in here and turn these off, because every once in a while I'll think I have done it, and then all of a sudden see some guy in his pickup truck just kind of cruising down, and it's upsetting. But, okay. So there's that. Any other connections? Yeah, maybe one more in here somewhere. Yeah, let's go right about here. Let's see, is that the avenue? Yeah, so maybe on the avenues you can connect, and then off the streets you gotta kind of walk a block. And, it's a block, it's not too hard. So let's do that again. Conveniently, we also have another section here. Traffic precedent, vehicle restrictions here, only trash and hearse, SOS. I assume hearses are in SOS, but we'll find out. Although I suppose that doesn't really matter. Let's move this button over there. I suppose that doesn't really matter if I don't have any official kind of buildings. So let's see if I can stick any parks. Some of these are quite large, so I might not get them. Oh, there we go. So that one might be, let's see, what is this? So this is like a playground. Yeah, so we'll go through and add some of these. That one's enormous. So this may fit. I wonder if this is kind of going through. Yeah, so I can actually stick this right through the path, and I'm quite okay with that. So that one looks good. So maybe I should read what these are. Dog park. Oh, so dog park is probably going to be near one of the entrances, and it may or may not even have some parking. Although it's a little bit bigger. Maybe I'll just adjust the path here. So, because I would like to get a dog park in. I think they're, I don't know, I love dogs, so I'm obsessed with dog parks. And then if we kind of bend this a little, we'll just get it to be right behind the dog park. And, you know, I don't think I want, well, that's up on a hill. I don't think I want parking. I think this is literally just, it's a nice place to walk and, you know, take your dog or go for a run, but I don't think I want big old parking spots. So that's good. That way you walk in here and then you can kind of go, I guess the entrance is still on this side. What if I move this around so it's that way? Just like that. That way you walk around, you come into the park, and then you walk into the dog park. So if move it, is move it broken? Am I frozen? There we go. Sorry about that. Let's just take this to there. And really what I need actually is another node. So I'm going to grab my road here and just do one straight section for the dog park. And then a curved section that'll go like this. Well, yeah, that's fine. Great, so now I have a dog park. Let's go back to, I don't think I want any of that. Bouncy castle, no. Carousel. That'd be a nice kind of old-fashioned carousel. Kind of weird, but, you know, it's in the game, so we might as well try to use it sometimes. Although, frankly, it doesn't really fit, and I'm not going to try and squeeze it in. So, what else do we have here? Plazas. No, I got the super park. I don't need that right now. Anything else interesting? Nope. Nope. Okay. So what I'll do at this point is hop into a quick time lapse and just throw down some foliage and trees and bushes, and come back in a few minutes. So I meant to have some live footage for you, but unfortunately I wasn't paying attention and recorded it all with the audio off, which is my default setting for recording time lapses. But there's not too much you missed, just kind of a brief overview, which you'll get in these cinematics. And I'm pretty happy with how this park came out. You'll see in this cinematic in the next few shots, it's just a nice kind of open area, nothing too fancy or built up, but just an open grass area with a few playgrounds and parks. And I'm happy with the way it turned out, like I said. I extended it down to the creek, as you may have seen at the end of the time lapse, and I think it just came out pretty well. One thing I also did was add some bike lanes on the avenue there, just because I was thinking about it, and if I were commuting and wanted to kind of get going along parallel to the river, it would have been nice to not have to weave in and out of pedestrians and other park goers just to get where I was going. So that'll be something I probably delve into in another episode. Perhaps a episode will be focused on subways, train lines, and just some other general kind of transportation things like bike lanes. You'll see them here in this shot as well. But from overall, I like how the city's coming. I think the details that I worked on in the time lapse at the beginning of this episode really helped. It made things look a lot more put together, and you'll see that in one of the next few time lapse shots. But after this, what we're going to be working on is a little bit up in the air. As I mentioned before, I'm going to do something that I'm inspired to do, and that will depend. That will be whatever I feel like doing on whatever day I find some time to sit down and record. But given the way things have been, I think it'll probably be either the train yard across the river or the harbor, especially because the city needs goods, and that means industry. And I tend to like working on industrial kind of zones anyways. But with that, that's what I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button. Consider subscribing if you want to be notified anytime I post a new episode. But until next week, my name's been Rotype, and I'll see you next time.